Jello. What's up, Deborah Hutchison? And to everyone else who is watching, make sure that you hit the like button. Don't make me have to come through the screen here. So make sure you hit the like button on your way in. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Make sure you say hello so I can acknowledge you. And it's still cold where I am, and I'm really regretting taking up some cases here for these lawyers and not being able to travel when I want to say. I meant to, Dr. L, I meant to say yellow. You did. You did. You did say. You said yellow. Yellow. I don't know. Maybe you're making a differentiation that I can't see here. But anyway, greetings to you and to everyone else who is in the building, who everyone else who's going to watch this in the future. I really appreciate it. Make sure that you hit the like button on your way in. Consider becoming a member of the members only content so you can get some special perks and shout outs and all that kind of stuff. Hit the like button on your way in and join the membership here today. So we got a lot to cover today. This is, probably going to be a little lengthy episode because I wanted to cover Dr. Barbara Sizemore's phenomenal speech that I think it's phenomenal. And it's been, people just kind of put it up, but I wanted to, kind of break it up with you guys, talk about it a little bit. And let me see here if I can pull up her Wikipedia page here. I know I had it up here before. Anyway, I hope everybody's good. Let's see, Barbara Sizemore, Wikipedia. I had it up before, so here it is. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Anyone else in the building hit the like button? I don't want to say hello. Okay, well, all right. Well, regardless, I appreciate you guys coming up to check out the show. Even those of you who are hate watching. But we're gonna talk about some things tonight. We're gonna try to get ourselves together. I often take critiques about this, but I want us to get ourselves together. I really do, because it's really important to me. But before I get into Barbara Sizemore, Dr. Barbara Sizemore, let me go over to something today to talk about. I don't really often talk about politics. I try to save that for my other channel a little bit, but today I want to talk about a couple of ladies here from the I've Had It podcast. A couple of ladies here who seem to be allies and are really doing some good work as far as what they're putting up and out there in the atmosphere. And they did most of their content is really good. And I wanted to put this up here, and it is going to tie into what we're talking about later. Saint H9IQ, thank you so much for coming up, or for saying hello. Appreciate that. AB Media, salute to you, brother. How's everything going? Greetings all. Please hit the live. Please don't get the welcome to the live. Please don't forget to hit the like. Thank you for that high vibe. All right, first I wanted to start this off again, and this is going to be a long one here, and this is a quick 15-minute video. If 15 minutes is quick. So this is from the I've Had It podcast. I don't know why that's the default there. And again, this is called News. Trump admits he's taking over elections and chilling new threat to use ICE at the polls. And I wanted to bring this up to talk to you all about making sure that you are, whether you're registered independent or Democrats or even Republicans, that you are eligible to vote. Take a look at where you vote at, in particular, if you live in a major Black metropolitan city, be it Detroit or Philadelphia or DC or wherever, make sure that you are eligible to vote. Exactly. This is serious. We are living in some perilous times, to quote the scripture there. We are living in some perilous times, and people don't understand what's going on. This is the time to really kind of wake up, because the things that we read about in history books, what our ancestors went through in the 1960s, and even in the 1920s, concerning all the race riots, et cetera, in the 1920s and 10s and all the lynchings. I'm not saying it's going to go back to that, but I definitely think that there's some 1960-ish type of things that are going to be going on here. And these two ladies right here are really going to break it down. So let's take a listen to them. We're going to play the vast majority of this. And I want you all to really listen to what these ladies are saying.
All right, they're openly talking about rigging the primaries right now. They are priming the public. They're going to use ICE. They're going to use warrants and subpoenas to go in and get all the ballots, to get every evidence that Democrats won. They're focused on blue states because they know that our turnout is going to be so big. But listener, it has to be too big to rig, because they are going to do everything in their power to cheat. Listen to Steve Bannon.
Damn right. We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen.
Pops.
Okay. You've been saying
before Pumps gets in here, what a name, man. I don't even know where the name came from. I like them too. I like them, Heather Cox Richardson. You know, if you guys listen to any independent media, feel free to put that in here. Independent media. I love Heather Cox Richardson. I look forward to her rants. And sometimes she says, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. I be screaming, go down that rabbit hole. Anything that she puts out to me is just absolute pure gold. Heather Cox Richardson. And so if you guys listen to anyone else, please feel free to put them in the chat. In independent media, Sabby Sabs. I also listen to Judge Napolitano. I listen to him and his numerous guests there. There's a foreign policy guy. I can't remember the name of that one. A couple of foreign policy people I listen to. So if you guys have anyone who's independent, put them in here. And some people are bought and paid for as well. So, all right, so let's listen.
This from the jump. ICE is going to put outside voting booths or whatever by Steve Bannon's own admission, and he's going to intimidate people not to come. People are going to have to say, do I really want to go cross ICE because they might murder me? That's what they're setting us up for. And you saw it way before me. But here's the thing. I listened to Steve Bannon say that. And I think, and we're still talking about whether we're going to fund ICE or not. Because if you look back at Steve Bannon and Donald Trump before the 2020 election, well, I mean, I'll certify the votes if it's not stolen. They were floating the stolen idea a year in advance. This should be a 5-alarm fire across every single Democratic politician's desk. They have to stop this. He is saying the quiet part out loud. They do not want to ever be taken out of power. They started with gerrymandering. They start all these tricks to try to do it. And now they realize he's so fucking unpopular. He is not going to get reelected, and then he's going to get impeached, and everything he's done is going to be taken back. So what do we have to do? We have to keep the people from the booths. How are we going to do that? We're going to do it with Kristi Noem. And if you are not up to speed on this, because I was late to the party, but if you're not up to speed on this as a Democratic leader, it's mouth.
And that was an admission right there. She's late to the party. A lot of people aren't paying attention. And this is the problem, right? You know, President Obama years ago said that elections have consequences. People are recognizing right now that these elections have consequences. Due to time, I'm not going to play it, but I was gonna play a clip by Karen Hunter, another one I listened to, Karen Hunter, no relation. And she was going back and forth with somebody who voted for Jill Stein, saying that, why did you vote for Jill Stein? You know, the reason that we're in this mess is because you wouldn't go all the way for Kamala. Now, let me state loudly and clearly, I am a registered independent, and I go where I think that my vote is going to matter. And sometimes I do give a protest vote. I'm not going to lie about that. But the problem is that a lot of times these Democrats don't give us what we want, and the Republicans don't give us what we want. And they're both bought and paid for by these donor classes, and that is an issue. They're holding the ground on ICE. But you got to hold the ground on other stuff as well, in my estimation. You got to hold the ground on other. We got to get rid of Citizens United. We got to get rid of these terrible SCOTUS decisions. Supreme Court of the United States needs to be a voted position. What's the other word I want to say? There also needs to be a term limits for them, or no more lifetime appointments. Crazy. Yeah, corporate Democrats. It's all crazy. They all have to go. They all have to go. I'm not going to go down that road. AJC, what's up? Checking in, and good evening. Good evening to you, brother. Appreciate you checking in. Appreciate you checking in. Let's get back to these two as they continue to talk about this. But this is important. A lot of people are late to the party, and then we're waking up, looking up outside, and don't recognize the country that we grew up in and that we came to know and to love.
Fucking practice. It's malfeasance.
Completely agree. And I also want to point out that Steve Bannon was very good friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
He is the biggest pedophile protector. I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence that he participated in it, but they were big buddies collaborating on how to cheat, on how to be obsequious to Vladimir Putin, on how to destroy democracy and install Trump. And so the only thing these people know how to do is cheat. Sending masked ICE agents to harass citizens is voter suppression. It is cheating, and our country has a history of it. And our country ignores it all the time. If you look at how much more difficult it is right now, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, to go vote in a black neighborhood.
All right, so you're really going to start dropping some gems here. I really want you guys to pay attention to this. That she's going to give away the game here. The reason that we are in this mess in the United States, the reason we're in this mess is because they gerrymandered and harassed black voters. Black voters were always the target. This is the reason we're in this mess. She's about to give away the game here.
Look at how much more difficult it is right now, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, to go vote in a black neighborhood than in a white neighborhood. A lot of the problems we have right now is because we didn't make this country fair for our black and brown brothers and sisters that worked for free, were abused, were murdered, and now secondhand citizens. When I go vote in my all-white neighborhood, piece of cake, easy breezy, go right through. Black neighborhoods, it's quite different. And they've even passed laws in Atlanta to where you can't hand a bottle of water to somebody in a voting line. And so now they've escalated because we have never fixed that. And they have a Supreme Court who will allow this type of voter suppression to go on crack cocaine. They are ready to take it with these people, they get a hit of an abuse, then they want to escalate, and then another hit of an abuse, and they want to escalate, and they want to escalate. And now we're at the climax of this. And here's Trump in one of his humiliation exercises with all of these Republicans who are pedophile collaborators and fascist collaborators standing around him in the Oval Office. How insecure do you have to be to have 25 people standing behind you? But listen to this.
What exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections? And which 15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest. And if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. But when you see some of these states about how horribly they run their elections, what a disgrace it is, I think the federal government, when you see crooked elections, and we had plenty of them, and by the way, we had them last time, but go to 2020 and look at the facts that are coming out. Rigged, crooked elections. If we have areas, take a look at Detroit, take a look at Pennsylvania, take a look at Philadelphia. You go take a look at Atlanta. Look at some of the places that.
Okay, I want to stop right here, Kylie. You can take that down. When he says Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta, his base is primed to think of those cities as black cities. That is how they are primed, because this political party, the Republican cult, has done a really good job falsely propagandizing blue cities to scare all of the white people that live in suburban America in their little cookie cutter, unoriginal homes with zero culture, zero. But they sit around and watch Fox News all the time. When they hear those cities, that is code for N-words live there. That's how they hear it. And I know that's graphic, but you guys, I'm telling you, people in the South, people in flyover states, that's what they hear from him. This is racial signaling that you cannot let these N-words cheat. That is the way these people hear it. He is feeding racism. And then with the tape before that, we know that Steve Bannon, he's talking about they want these black and brown people terrified because Trump does best with white people. And so make no mistake about it, the targeted racism on election day, and already right now, that was targeted racism from behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. And I'm going to tell you all something that you live on the East and West Coast that you better understand. In flyover states and in the South, people use the N-word in front of their grandchildren, in front of their families, without a thought in the world. The racism is prevalent. It is there. And they have had everything in their lives handed to them, these people, everything. They have the executive branch, they have the Senate, they have the House, they have the Supreme Court. They've made a shit ton of money, and they're still fucking mad at black people. Do you want to know why? Because it is a hatred and a brokenness in their heart that this man feeds. And this man happens to not just be the architect of all of this. There are darker, more nefarious forces behind him that have desires to tear down democracy. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and they feel like they're successful here, that they've already turned their sights to Europe. That's why you hear J.D. Vance say such provocative things about the European Union. And PBS is reporting the following. The latest tranche of files related to Jeffrey Epstein reveal new details about the extent to which key members of President Donald Trump's inner circle were interacting with Epstein for years after he was initially arrested and convicted on state prostitution charges.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. That gets a little bit boring, and then there's a commercial, so we'll fast forward a little bit here.
Here for you. Number one, pop this up. Epstein was deeply embedded with Vladimir Putin. Jim Stewartson posts, Putin was Epstein's client. Epstein saw it as his role to help Russian Federation, especially at the expense of the United States. He played this role gleefully as he played the role of sexual sadist. Here is Jeffrey Epstein emailing former Prime Minister of Israel. Putin will redo his staff in the summer, bringing only very trusted people closer. More info on phone or face-to-face. This is such a bombshell, and there's so many bombshells in here, but the purpose of the child rape was to compromise people to make a new world order, because none of these people are electable. None of these people can put their name on the ballot. So they have to cheat. At the core of all.
So if you ever wondered why so many people are beholden to these other countries, or one country in particular, why they will never speak ill of them, because this whole Epstein thing was one big setup to get these people in compromised positions. Allegedly. So get them in compromised positions so they'll vote the way that you want them to, continue to give money to a certain country, et cetera, et cetera.
All of this is extreme sadism so that they can cheat. And then lastly, here is another country that has him completely compromised. Epstein files. FBI sites tip that Trump is compromised by Israel. A confidential source reports Indonesian media mogul Harry Tanosodihibo. Sorry, guys, I'm not good at pronouncing names that I'm not familiar with. Trump hotel partner said Trump is compromised by Israel. To him, Kushner is, quote, the real brains behind his organization and his presidency. Also claims Harry bought Trump's Beverly Hills home at an inflated price and introduced someone to Indonesian CIA. The source of this is the DOJ. The connections to Russia get a little more play in Western media, but the connections to Israel don't, just like the genocide doesn't, just for the same reasons that our Senate minority leader and our House minority leader are supposed to fight so rigorously for us and have moral clarity and be very clear-eyed right now. But they're compromised by AIPAC. That prevents them from going full tilt. And so they are fascist collaborators. That's the difference, you guys. Corporate Dems and progressive Dems. Corporate Dems, Chuck Schumer, right now, Emma Vigeland over at the Majority Report speaks very eloquently about Chuck Schumer right now. And he is, in fact, a fascist collaborator because they are unwilling to look at the facts ahead of us. This government that we have right now is not being controlled by Pudding Boy, but by all of these oligarchs who have worked and machinated for years to get here. And they are not going to give it up. That's why our turnout must be too big to rig. We must not be fearful. We must stand with the Black and brown community because in America, they always bear the brunt of it. And white people, for once, let's be allies. Let's stand with Black and brown people, immigrants, our African-American brothers and sisters who have lived through a hyper police state for centuries. Enough is enough. This is the moment. And they are priming the soil. Priming for fuckery in the midterms. All right, that's all we have. Like, subscribe, comment. We'll be back later with more news.
All right, I want to start off with that one there because, we're there. People who are registered Democrats, I guess, can vote in March to see who's going to be on the ballot and get primaried and all that kind of stuff. And as of December 2025, the U.S. Postal Service changed its rules so that the postmark date reflects when an item is first processed at a regional facility rather than when it's dropped off. I'm reading from AI right now. So I want to also mention this post office marking here, because those of you who do mail-in ballots, uh, that's going to be important, right? You can't just mail out the day before and think, okay, they're going to stamp in the post market that day. It's going to go from one facility, wherever you drop it off at, and have to get turned into a major facility. And that's when it's going to get it postmarked. It may take a day or two to get there. So if you got to watch this type of trickery that's going on, whether it's for these primaries that are coming up in March, and whether it's the midterms in November. You got to watch this type of postmarking. You don't think if you drop it off that day or a day before, it's going to count. So you got to watch that type of thing, right? Again, I'm an independent, so I don't vote in these primaries. So you all who are, make sure that you are. Also, make sure that you have your information. If you need the ID to vote, make sure you got it. Make sure your passport is good. There's information floating around the internet talking about, no, don't carry your original passport, because these ICE agents who are masked, might take it, throw it in the woods, and say they never had it. We don't want to sound too conspiratorial and sound like you're just being hyperbolic, but I wouldn't trust this administration. I don't trust this administration. This man stoked up January 6th, and these people voted this man back in office, which is crazy to me. Which is absolutely crazy to me that anybody would vote for this man the second time, but they did. And now he's looking to stay in power, steal elections, change the whole narrative. And these people allegedly got this whole cabal of individuals and got them compromised with these little kids and the whole Epstein thing and all these different people. Listen, I wouldn't put past any of these people. I wouldn't be surprised if they show up in different counties, they being ICE agents, trying to intimidate people, in particular, Black folks, where your papers at, can you vote, or this, that, and the other. I would be mentally prepared for any type of nonsense. So get your ID, call up, go down to your city hall, make sure that you are registered and on the roll to vote. Take every single precaution to make sure that your vote counts. So yeah. Greetings, everyone. All right, so I want to play out first to kind of say, this is where we're at here, right? And as those two ladies were talking about, it's always been targeted towards us, but now they're trying to steal it from everyone. Now they are trying to steal it from everyone, and so we got to be careful. We got to be careful. And this whole gender war thing that we got going on, we got to knock this craziness off here. All right, close that thing down here. I shouldn't have did that. Let's see. Peace. All right. So we're gonna read here Barbara Sizemore here. If anybody doesn't know, I'll read a little bit about her, and we'll get into her video because I really appreciate this. I watch it a couple times a year here. Hope you guys can see this. Make it a little bit bigger there. All right, so this is who we're going to listen to is Barbara Sizemore. She's obviously, well, not obviously, but she's an ancestor now. Was an American teacher and researcher in the field of education. In 1973, she became the first African-American woman to head the public school system in a major city when she was elected superintendent in the District of Columbia Public Schools. Barbara Ann Sizemore was born to Sylvester and Delia LaFoon in Chicago, Illinois, and was raised in Terre Haute, Indiana. She attended segregated elementary and middle schools, graduated from her high school at the age of 16. Sizemore attended Northwestern University, where she received a bachelor's degree in classical languages in 1947. Going to Northwestern in 1947 and in the 40s could not have been easy. And a master's degree in elementary education in 1954. She later returned to school and received her PhD from University of Chicago in educational administration in 1979. She began her career in Chicago public education, teaching English and reading in elementary and high schools, 50s and 60s, serving as principal at elementary schools from 63 to 67. 69, she was named district superintendent of the Woodlawn Experimental Schools. She was also a member of the adjunct faculty at Northwestern Illinois, 65 to 71. Let's see. I didn't even know she wrote a book. I'm glad I read this. Sizemore's first book, a version of her doctoral thesis titled The Ruptured Diamond, The Politics of Decentralization of the District of Columbia Public Schools, was published in 1981. Her second book, Walking in Circles, The Black Struggles for School Reform, was published posthumously in 2008. I didn't know those were there, so I'm definitely going to go over there and get those books if I can get them. Yeah, do what you got to do. Get those real IDs or whatever, right? So, all right, let's see here. I think that's it. So let me pull this up on the screen. Your real IDs, your driver's licenses. You know, if you got the passport cards, I have a passport card. Do what you got to do, because I do not trust these people. We are living in some really, really scary times. We definitely have some more important matters to focus on. Well, you're right about that. And Dr. Sizemore is going to elaborate on this. So this video lives on YouTube. You guys can go over here, check it out in your own time here. But I kind of wanted to watch it again and review it to let us know that we are living in some crazy, crazy times here. So this is Dr. Barbara Sizemore, and the name of this video is Dr. Barbara Sizemore, Black People Still Don't Get It, a powerful talk. What is this? A powerful talk on what? Powerful talk on awareness and identity. Yeah. Before I clicked over here and booted this up, there's another live that's going on here. I'm going to go over and watch it, finish watching it. It's a small channel, but they were talking about, African-American and the foundational Black American and what's going on in this craziness that we got, this war we got going on, foundational Black Americans against those from the Caribbean and Africans. So I'm going to go over and finish watching that. But anyway, let's get into this right now. Here we go.
About what's happening to our children in public schools. Now, most of the time when I come over here, that's what I talk to you about, because that's really where my life is centered. But it occurred to me that Alton's been in this struggle, and I'm very concerned about how we're progressing in it. So I thought a lot about it, sisters and brothers, and titled what I want to share with you tonight, called Black People Still Don't Get It.
The way she scrunches up her face always gets me.
For some time now, I have been trying to get the idea over that Black people must take charge of their lives and those of their children. We can't leave this to other people to do, because they're not going to do it. And we cannot sit around wringing our hands and shaking our heads and talking.
She said they're not gonna do it. Can't give yourself over to other people. They're not gonna do it. We gotta do it ourselves.
It's getting late, brothers and sisters, especially for our children. Now, when it gets to the point that the way we live is destructive and leads to our extermination, then we have to think about what has happened to our culture. And we need to take a long, serious look at our condition now. Amen. Go right there. Go ahead. If culture is the sum total of artifacts which any group accumulates in its struggle for survival and autonomy, then it's dynamic, because it's a struggle. It's not static. It doesn't stand still and never change. It changes with the condition, okay? Because as you try to survive and to be self-autonomous, and the conditions change that keep you from doing that, you change in order to combat those conditions. Am I making sense to you? Okay.
Is she making sense? We got to change with the times. Y'all people that didn't vote before, you better start voting. You people that didn't pay attention before, you better start paying attention. Got to change with the times. Get ready for AI taking people's jobs. You got to get with the times.
Now, what is survival? I mean, you know what? Survival means that the group has to do at least three things. One, the group has to see that each individual member keeps himself or herself in good enough mental, moral, spiritual, and physical health long enough to reproduce that self and then take care of whatever you reproduce. That's the least. If you don't do that, the group dies. It's gone. Okay. So that's what survival means. In order to be self-autonomous, it means that the group has to have within its control the means to assure its survival.
All right.
You can't depend on nobody else to do that.
All right.
That's not going to happen. That's not the way the world works.
That's why a lot of folks are building up their own, well, I guess arsenals, being sure they can protect themselves, and also learning how to plant their own foods and things like that. That's something I really want to get into, is learning how to grow my own foods. So, what's up, Chance Roger? Protect yourself and be able to ensure your own survival. Can't depend on other people to do it. Y'all, make sure you hit the like button. Where we at with the likes? Hit the like button.
Now, what are the chief obstacles to survival? Okay, let's just be real. What are they? One is nature. You got to have within the means of the group some way for the group to survive earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever. All right? So nature is one. Other men and women who might want to take your land, water, means of survival.
All right.
And yourself.
All right.
You can't become no cotton picking drug addict, alcoholic, kill yourself.
All right.
Right?
That's right.
Okay. Those are the obstacles. Now, the culture that we pass down from generation to generation is supposed to help the group to survive and to be self-autonomous. The major way that we pass this culture on is
High Vibe says, if you have a privacy fence, collect rainwater. I'm about to learn how to do that. I knew this case was, there was a guy in Oregon who got arrested for that. And I don't want you doing it, which is crazy. So, this was a case like 10, 15 years ago. And I just reviewed it yesterday. Well, I mean, came to my memory yesterday. They don't want you collecting rainwater. So they don't want you learning how to eat and all this kind of stuff and feeding yourself, because they want you buying bottled water. They want you, engaging in capitalism. So, yeah. So get a privacy fence if you're going to do that.
through what? Groups, family,
All right.
church, is to survive and to be self-autonomous. The major way that we pass this culture on is through what? Groups, family,
All right.
church, school, organizations like this.
All right.
Those are the means. Okay, now, unfortunately for us, we live in a country where the overriding values of the country are against us. For instance, these overriding values put in the positions of privilege people who are white,
All right.
people who are male, and people who are wealthy.
All right.
And these three groups dominate the society. So when we talk about teaching our children instrumental values like equality, liberty, fraternity, etc., we are talking about ordering those values under the institutional values of race, gender, and wealth, so that more white people get equality, liberty, and fraternity than black people, more men get equality, liberty, and fraternity than women, and more wealthy people get equality, liberty, and fraternity than poor people. You get it?
All right.
All right.
All right.
It doesn't do enough then, ladies and gentlemen, for us to teach our children about the instrumental values, if we don't teach them the impact of the institutional values on the distribution of the latter. Otherwise, our kids don't get the full message and don't know how to behave. Now, when I was a young woman looking for a job in 1947, the newspapers would advertise, "No Negroes need apply." All right? Chicago, Illinois.
Now, I played some racist individuals in the past there when we reviewed, Joe Webbin. They want to bring that back slowly but surely. It may not happen here or in a year, but this is what they want to get to. You don't have to believe it. I'm telling you, this is what their thought process is. They want to minimize who else can vote, who has power, who has the ability to overthrow them. They want to do that. I was watching a podcast earlier today about a lot of ladies are scared. They want to, when they scale back on those types of student loans that can be taken out for different businesses or whatever, student loans for different courses or classes or majors you can take. They're looking at that as a direct attack against women. Nurses, audiologists, etc. A lot of female-dominated jobs. They're concerned about that. We ought to be concerned about that as a collective as well. Dude, a shark ate my record crate. We'll check in full with the replay gang and comment when appropriate. All right, brother. Shark ate my record crate. That's a new one.
March 28, 1947.
Not to mention the restriction on housing on your own acres of land, but you can stack up on weapons, though, which isn't bad. But the powers that be know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing. They do know. This is scary times. We're living through some scary times.
Chicago, Illinois. No Negroes need apply. All right. Chicago, Illinois. March 28, 1947. Chicago, Illinois. I did not say Mississippi.
All right.
What did Malcolm X say? Stop talking about the South. As long as you're south of the Canadian border, you're in the South.
North. I was up north. All right. Right. So what did that say? That said that on March 28, 1947, when I was looking for my first job, affirmative action was for white people. Now, just because we didn't call it that then, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't mean it wasn't. And now that it's our turn to have affirmative action, it's suddenly no turns. No turns. It's always.
There's no turns. No. What did the president say? Affirmative action was really, really bad for white people. No turns. You don't get a turn. It's always our turn. And this is what they're scared of, Mr. Stu. This is what they're scared of. Birth rates dropping. So they're going to do everything they can. They're going to get these people out of here. Some of them want to roll back interracial dating, interracial marriages. They're scared. Scared. Speaking of Malcolm X, maybe we'll do a review of his The Ballot with a Bullet. Maybe we'll do that next day.
It's our turn, right? It's always white people's turn for affirmative action. Nobody else gets a turn. So much for taking turns. But isn't that what we teach for 2 weeks in kindergarten? Oh, the teacher tells you your child has to learn to take a turn. We teach him take a turn in kindergarten. Take a turn in first grade. Take a turn in second grade. Wait your turn in third grade. Don't butt in fourth grade. Stay in line in fifth grade. When you get to be an adult, you stand and queue up at the cashier. Take your turn. Wait your turn. But don't nobody take no turns in this country. It's always the white man's turn. It's always the rich man's turn. It's always their turn.
All right.
So much for taking turns. In 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Plessy versus Ferguson, which legalized Jim Crow. and the overt racism that we knew as Jim Crow was forbidden. And most Negroes, now calling themselves Black, thought the problem was solved. Black folks just didn't get it. We just didn't get it. We thought that the problem was segregation. But segregation was a symbol of the problem. The problem was this institutional value system of race, gender, and wealth. That's the problem. And ladies and gentlemen, it still is. The United States is not a democracy yet. It's trying to be, trying to be.
I wonder what she would say about today. If she saw the stunts that this administration was doing.
And I always tell my students when they say, I'm trying to do it, Miss Sizemore, I say, come here. And I say, I'm trying to hit you. I'm trying to hit you, right? I'm trying to hit you. And then when I finish, I said, did I hit you? And he said, no. I said, so much for trying. Right? But the United States is a capitalist country. It is that. Now, if it can be a democracy within the parameters prescribed by the capitalist paradigm, it does it. But when it can't, it won't. The basic premise of capitalism is to make a profit by any means necessary. And the unit of measure is the United States dollar. And ladies and gentlemen, it is taboo to teach this to your children. When I say taboo, I mean it's forbidden. For instance, if anybody gets up in front of a class and tries to teach the children about capitalism and how to be a capitalist, they are immediately labeled socialist or communist and run out of the room. Right? It's a taboo. Don't you think that's strange? That in a capitalist country, we cannot teach our children to be capitalists? Oh, think about it. Because you see, in a capitalist country, you are either a capitalist or you are a victim.
All right.
And that's powerful right there. Either you're a capitalist or you're a victim.
No in-betweens.
All right.
No in-betweens. You either play the game here or you're a victim of it. Now you have to make a choice. Of course, you can always leave the country.
All right.
That's another choice.
I think what she's talking about is the unit of measurement is a dollar. How many dollars you have will determine how successful you are in that. I don't think she's talking about precious metals or anything else. In a capitalistic society, how many dollars you rack up, you stack up, determines who's going to listen to you, how socially mobile you are, upwardly mobile you are, etc. That is the measurement, what she's speaking about.
Right? Now, capitalism demands competition, selfishness, and mean-spiritedness. It demands it. But what do they teach your children in school? Be cooperative. Be cooperative. Take your turn. Don't fight. Don't cheat. Now, everybody engaged in capitalism knows that the motto is win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. And what I'm trying to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, is the real world that our children live in, not the ideal one that we want them to live in, not this wonderful world that we pray that will come here one day, but the real world.
The real world. And that measurement mindset is wrong, because even people that make six figures and millionaires are struggling. They can't stack up enough dollars. They can't stack up enough because there is no enough. Certainly millionaires have enough money to live, to eat. As Biggie said, the more money, the more problems. You are a millionaire, you want to live a billionaire's lifestyle, so you're living in debt. You make six figures, you're trying to live like a millionaire. The mindset is you never have enough, but you have enough. You have enough to pay your bills, to eat, to go on vacation a couple times a year, to buy a new car when you need to, if something breaks in your house. You definitely have enough. You have to cheat at some point in capitalism. It's set up that way. You definitely have to cheat enough. You definitely have to.
That they have to live in. You want to know why they're acting so crazy? You want to know why they're doing the things that they're doing? Because we have not prepared them to live in this real world. We have sent them through 12 years of school teaching them this dumb stuff that doesn't work, and when they go out and try to apply it and get killed for it, we are not there to help them through. We are not there. We fade away on them. Somewhere around about 9th grade, we start talking about, I can't control him. I can't do nothing with him. Get out of my house if you don't do what I tell you to do. And we abandon them to the mean streets and then cry because they get murdered. Capitalism is not compatible with equality. It is not compatible with equity. It is not compatible with Christianity, no matter how hard we try. The struggle for survival in the United States is the handling of this never-ending tension between the institutional values of race, gender, and wealth, which give undue and unearned privileges and advantages to some so that others cannot compete on an equal basis for the resources of this country.
All right.
This is the game. This is the game, ladies and gentlemen. As Alton told you, politics is the management of the conflict which occurs when groups war over the resources.
All right.
Resources include money,
All right.
land, right? So politics is just the passing around of the resources. If you don't have the resources, as Alton told you, you're not in the game.
Did she say capitalism isn't compatible with Christianity? Really? Yes, I would agree with that. If you take a look at the scriptures, particularly after the formation of the church when Jesus ascended on high, they were socialist communists, those of the Christian faith. There was admonitions for the church to take care of the widows. Yeah, absolutely. Greed, it's capitalism about greed. We got mowed down, transported over here in the slave ships because of capitalism. Built a whole infrastructure on capitalism. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Black people just don't get it.
All right. All right.
We just don't get it.
All right.
Those who are at the bottom form a group which is bound by its cultural artifacts. That's language, religion, tradition, art, music, style, values. And these form a bond of cohesion which, if nourished, does become nationalism.
All right. Right.
But it has to be nourished.
All right.
And it has to be nourished by the group.
All right.
So dead set anime. So capitalism also in Jesus's parables. I'm reminded of the parable of the talents. I don't think capitalism is the problem. There was also part of that was interest, usury. So there was admonitions. Jesus had admonitions against usury. I can't think of the exact scriptures there, but there was admonitions against it. So, and our whole system is about usury, interest, borrowing money from banks, and then being charged interest. So, you know, I understand that people think this, but true Christianity, in my estimation, I think she's spot on. I don't think that true Christianity is compatible with capitalism?
How do we do that? Family, church, school, organizations, institutions. Okay.
All right. All right.
When it becomes nationalistic, then the group is strong enough to create an economic niche in which the people can slide to make a living.
All right.
But under capitalism, you must be a producer. You cannot continue to be consumers. African Americans spend more money than, well, there's one group that spends more money than us. We spend. Ladies and gentlemen, this means we do have money.
All right.
How do you trade without capitalism? So trade is simply exchange of goods between whatever you value it at. So if I have enough of beard combs, I have enough beard combs, and you have, I don't know, some paper plates. I don't even have anything else. I don't know. I don't have anything else. Some paper plates, and that would be a trade. But when you exploit the poor in order to gain the material to get these items, this is where capitalism comes in at. Capitalism comes in because how do you get this information? How do you get what you're going to get? How do you get any minerals and or materials to create this beard comb, right? You have to have access to the land to cut down the trees. You have to have access to the mines. You have to have access or someone to clear these clear the mines, clear the land, etc. So black folks were transported here. In particular, black folks were transported here to do all the heavy labor, lifting, cutting down trees, going into the mines, all this different type of thing. So that is what capitalism is. You're capitalizing on the land, and then once you get it, you get this materials. You guys all know this. I shouldn't have to explain, this basic stuff. But this is where capitalism comes in that versus the trade or barter system. So there's a difference in between that. There's a difference between the trade system, the barter system, and capitalism, which is exploitation of the poor. The rich get richer. The rich are sitting in their homes getting richer while the poor are getting poorer. Not being, and the wages aren't keeping up. That's what we're talking about capitalism. That's, or at least the negative aspects of the capitalism. Appreciate that, AJC. It's great to be among intellectual convos as such. Yeah. Everything was taken from us. Let's not forget that. The white supremacists have done despicable deeds for us in this way. Yeah. Well, some would argue that it is the creation of money, because now it is the creation of money wherein you would get inflation. Now this comb is no longer worth the mug. I want 2 combs. I want 3 combs. Well, so money becomes the exchange for that.
You spend it, right? So if you got money to spend, you do have money. This girl lost her father. She was in medical school when I was living in Pittsburgh. This young lady lost her father, and he left enough money for her to go to school to finish her medical school, but it was in probate in the Pennsylvania court. And so she needed the money to pay her tuition right away. So she came to me and she said, do you think that you could get $5,000 for me to pay my tuition?
And so that's because each party is valuing their assets subjectively. But again, who's setting the value of it? And if you're going to get it, you got to get the money in order to, when money became the substitute system for the barter and trade system, people will value it at whatever they wanted to. And now you got to have enough coin, enough money, enough dollars, whatever you want to say, in order to get that item that you want. So these people, this comb could be charge $1 if they want to, but why is it $3 and $4 and $5? It's an inflationary system. And I'm saying this is cost more, and it costs more because I got to pay all these other people, and I got to pay for the packaging. I got to pay for it to be shipped. So and they have a markup to it, This lady's Dr. Barbara Sizemore. So I kind of laid all this out. She is now with the ancestors, but she was an educator for many years, and so she's given a talk about what is going on in the Black community and how come we haven't saved our culture, and now our culture is coming back to bite us. She died in 2004, so I'm assuming that this talk was probably in the 1990s. I can't ever find out when she gave this talk, but I'm assuming it was in the 1990s. So you're right, exactly. Hive asset values subjectivity is the problem, because people mark things up. When I tell this story all the time. My daughter was looking to buy a car. They were telling them, not only you got to pay for the manufacturer of the car, the architects, the engineers, all this type of thing, whoever designed the car, all that type of thing. You want to pay all these different people, and of course, everybody wants their cut along the way. So now, and then once it got to the dealership, the dealer's like, oh, listen, we charging $7,000 above the sticker price. They're telling you that. Before they wouldn't tell you. Now they're telling you we're going to charge $7,000 above sticker price. So they're just subjectively making this stuff, and you're going to pay it. If you want this car, you're going to pay it. That's why boycotts work, because you drop down the value of it, because you drop the demand for it, supply and demand. Nobody's going to go to Target. Nobody's going to go to Walmart. Nobody's going to go to these different companies. We're all going to dump our Disney Plus because they put out stuff we don't agree with, right? When people do that type of thing, then automatically the price starts dropping. Lo and behold, surprise, surprise.
And she needed it like in 2 weeks. So I went to my block club. We had a nice little block club, all these little middle class people, professional people up on the hill. They're called Sugar Top in Pittsburgh. And I went around the block club and I said, can we get $5,000 together to get to this girl so she could get through school? And they come talking to me, well, we ain't got that kind of money. Now I said, well, let's figure out some way to do it, and we'll meet in 3 days. And so during that 3 days, I walked around in the 6-block area in which I live, which is called Sugar Top in Pittsburgh. And I just wrote down all the cars that cost more than $35,000. Now these cars.
Now she's talking about, she wrote down all the cars that cost down $35,000. Now these cars are double that. These cars are double that. The cars I was looking at was 70, 75, 80. We went from 3 and 4 year car payments to 5 years. Now they're talking about 7 and 8 years. Now they want to give us 50-year loans for mortgages. This is capitalism on steroids. This is greed on steroids. This is inflation on steroids. Why are they doing that? Greed is never enough. These people are making money, and you look at their bottom lines and their sheets. They're making billions of dollars a year, but they're still marking stuff up.
Mind you, costing more than $35,000 was sitting out on the street. They didn't have garages to put them in. So I went to the next 3-day meeting, and I had the long list of cars, and I said, look, sisters, look at all these cars that white people are parking in front of our houses. Because obviously, if we didn't have no money, we couldn't be buying $35,000 cars, right? Okay, so the sisters forked up the money. We got it to the girl. But my point is that we say we don't have any money, but funny enough, we got money to buy all of these clothes and all of these cars and all these rings. I see brothers and sisters with 9 pounds of gold hanging around them, talking about they ain't got no money. Well, I guess not if it's all on plastic. But that's another problem. That's another problem. You must try to be plastic free. All right. The plastic makes you a victim. The plastic makes you a victim. You will never participate in the capitalist process as a winner if you are a victim.
All right.
Little brother came to me and He's talking to me.
This is what it's all about, Mr. Stu. You're absolutely right. And the truth be told, they're pricing out poor whites. That's why they're so pissed. That's why they want, and they have the tendency to blame everyone else except for the capitalists. It's the immigrants' fault. It's the black folks' fault. They're getting too much welfare. There's too many immigrants here stealing our jobs. It's all this kind of crazy nonsense. No, it's the people at the top pricing people out. That's the issue.
He said, all this old capitalism crap you talking about, he said, you have to shut up because we don't want to be engaged in capitalism. I said, show me your wallet. So he took out his wallet. I said, ain't no money in it. He said, no. I said, well, how you live? Where you live? Because I got to pay rent where I live. Where you live at? You don't have to pay no rent. What do you eat? Because every time I go to the Jewel, they want long green pictures of dead presidents.
All right.
I mean, hey, man, be real. You can't live in the United States of America without any money.
That's right.
I don't know a problem that our people have that would not be solved by more money.
Right.
Now you see me afterwards. You see me afterwards if you got a problem that money won't solve, because I want to know about it, because I'm making a list of them.
All right.
Because in a capitalist country, you see, that's the whole gig.
That's right.
That's the whole gig. The whole gig is to make everything cost money. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, everything is for sale.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Everything. That's Jesse Jackson.
Now, if you want to change things around here, I'm with you. I'm for you. But in the meantime, while you changing, you got to eat. Because if you don't eat, you're going to be one dead revolutionary.
All right. All right.
So let's be real. I'm trying to stick to what's real, ladies and gentlemen, because it's this tension between what's real and what's ideal that's killing our kids because they don't know how to deal with it. Okay, what's the problem here? The problem here is that the economy has been restructured.
All right.
So that the jobs that people used to get with little or no education have now disappeared.
All right.
Now, this is important here because she's saying this again, it's got to be in the 1990s. Again, she died in 2004. So the economy is about to be restructured again with AI, robots.
In order to get one of those jobs, you now have to commute to Taiwan.
All right.
Or Mexico City.
All right.
Or Haiti. You got to commute for those jobs now, ladies and gentlemen. They're not in Brooklyn. Okay? So those jobs are gone. So what are our people doing now that those jobs have disappeared? Using their usual creativity to create new ones. But where is the opening for these new creative endeavors? In drugs.
All right.
We don't have a drug policy in the United States. I know you know better than that.
Drug dealing is actually going down because young kids can now get on TikTok and YouTube or various other platforms, play video games all day, stream it, and make money. So that is going down a little bit. That just shows when you have money, when you have alternative methods to make money, you know, people won't turn to crime. So that's actually gone pretty good. She's been gone for 22 years. Well, yeah, whenever, 2004 she passed. So, yeah. I saw an article about how degrees are losing their strength. Yeah, because number one, there's too many people with degrees. To be honest, I mean, it's good that I was going to say it's good that the education, that the populace is more educated, but sometimes I wonder. But yeah, and there's too many degrees and there's too many fields. So, and what are you doing with your degree? What are people doing with their degree? So, and people want certifications, they want experience. And again, with the growth of AI, that's going to take a lot of people's jobs too. Y'all make sure you hit the like button.
We don't have a drug policy. We got a prison policy, but no drug policy. 80% of the cocaine used in the United States is used by white people.
Right.
80%. But look at television every night. Do you see them going to jail?
No.
Because that's not the way the business is structured.
All right.
You see, the drug industry is now a part of the gross national product. And they can't get rid of it if they wanted to. Everybody's, mad at Kurt Schmoke because he said, and Joycelyn Elders because they're talking about legalizing drugs. Nobody gonna legalize drugs. You don't have to take those two people seriously. It's not gonna happen because people make too much money off it. Not us. Not us. We're getting killed and going to prison. But that's part of the deal too.
And this is why I highlighted Theo Waff there to get young men into IT. It's important, all this automated type of stuff. You need people to keep an eye on the system. It ain't gonna help much, but at least you get paid in the meantime, Ultron is coming. So Ultron and what's the other one? Skynet is coming. So y'all better get ready. Yeah, I don't mean to laugh about it, but it's crazy. So.
Look at this capitalist plan now. Look at it. What did I tell you was to make a profit by any means necessary. Right? Okay, how you make a profit here? Well, you build the prisons. Where are these prisons built? In New York City? In Brooklyn? Oh, where the prisons built? Who lives there? Okay, then who's gonna build these prisons, ladies and gentlemen? Who's gonna provide the guards in these prisons, ladies and gentlemen? I rest my case.
All right.
There are a lot more black CEOs today, but the principle is still the same, that you have to house people in that. And so now, obviously, fast forwarding, the prison population is less than when she gave this speech. Again, she gave it in the 1990s at the height of the prison industrial complex. So it's less now, but don't get it twisted with ICE and all that kind of stuff. There's still some type of over policing that's going on here. So don't get it twisted. Not to mention that those data centers are using crazy amount of water to operate, which is madness to me. That's why I try to stay away from AI. I try not to use it. I don't watch any videos of people do it. People who put out YouTube videos that are just AI. I can't believe that they would allow that, but people want to keep up. We don't have these different crises. These crises are man-made. A lot of these crises that people are dealing with are man-made. These data centers to operate, and even I know for you meat eaters out there, right? The amount of water that it takes to feed the animals, grow the food to feed the animals, all that takes water. So a lot of the stuff is stuff of our own making. Problems, I should say. When they talk about future wars over water, there's no reason for it, in my estimation. Knowing a trade skill, you have about 20 years before robots. You get a certification in tech and engineering. You're good if you utilize AIs and stay ahead. Yeah. I think 20 years is kind of generous, but I don't know. It's a scary time. I feel scared for a lot of these kids. My kids are in their 20s. But kids in their teenage years, maybe even like 10-year-olds, they probably won't. By the time a 10-year-old grows up, he probably won't have a job. What is he going to do? AI is the largest contributor of cognitive atrophy in the country now. Worse, people are doing it to themselves. There's a video I was going to review about that, and it's really, really, actually, it was a clip I saw. Maybe I'll play it after this, but yeah, you're right. That's it's really causing brain rot. People can't think, they can't concentrate, can't read books, and that's one thing I do when I teach a class. I give them this information, like I send them articles and stuff. Stay away from AI. Stay away from you guys got to start learning how to read. Of course, I know they're not going to do it, but
Going to provide jobs, both construction, maintenance. Okay, that's where the job's going to be in prison. All right, now let's look at where the money goes. A sociologist named Troy Duster at the University of California, Berkeley, has been studying the drug business. Troy is a brother. He's a sociologist. And what he noticed is that there are layers, just like in any other hierarchy, right? There's guys at the top, guys at the bottom. Okay, as you come the top, the international cartel.
You know, when I was on the police academy, right? So to your point here, High Vibe, they talked about, you know, this is I was in the police academy in 1995. So they said 30, 40, 50 years, the FBI predicted this type of thing, that there would be super rich and everybody else would be dirt poor. And they were, you know, telling us as police officers, you got to get ready because you're going to have to protect the rich. That was and implied. They didn't say that directly or verbatim, but that was the implication, that you're gonna have to protect these people. And I was thinking in my mind, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. What's up, October?
that runs the drug business. It's on top. Those are the international owners of the drug business. And then underneath them is a layer of international distributors. These are the people.
We're doing good with the likes here, 35 likes. We got over 40 people. One time we hit 50. So y'all keep hitting the like button on your way in. October, I know you just got here. Make sure you hit that like button.
That distribute drugs all over the world. Then underneath them is a loose network of international bankers. They launder the money so that it can be distributed into legitimate business. And it is this money that's fueling the economy now.
There you go.
So if you're looking forward to drugs disappearing, you are really naive.
Know what else I think about more than RoboCop? I think about Judge Dredd. That's what I think about. That type of society. That's exactly what I think about. Either that or, you know, living under Skynet. But I usually kind of think of Judge Dredd. Probably the same thing, but that's where my mind goes, Judge Dredd.
That's right.
Black people just don't get it.
That's right.
They just don't get it.
That's right.
The bottom of the industry, the street industry, is run by poor Black and Latino people, or anybody else that's poor won't get in it. Now, these are the people selling on the street, so they get caught and they get put in jail. Now, the part of the drug business that's used by the middle class elite gives you less time in jail than that sold to the poor. So as you come down the line from the international cartel, you get blacker and blacker and blacker, okay? And the punishment starts with the street level.
All right.
No back.
I never saw the punishment starts with the street level. That's what she just said. I never saw artificial intelligence. I think it came out in the 80s. So they knew it was coming. I mean, they knew it was coming. So
Bankers go to jail.
That's right.
Well, bankers go to jail.
That's right.
The regional representatives in the country, they don't go to jail.
Yeah, right.
The couriers go to jail. The street distributors go to jail.
That's right.
The managers of the distribution in the poor communities go to jail.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's easier to put them in jail. Because they have no group that helps them to survive.
That's right.
So these people come from the dysfunctional groups in the society.
All right.
These are the groups whose culture doesn't save them.
All right. All right.
Because the people haven't had enough sense to save their culture.
All right. All right.
and that always hits me right there when she says that. The people didn't have enough sense to save their culture. So this again would tie into what a lot of y'all like to watch. You know, this whole idea of you know, this gender war we got going on, the lack of morals and values, you know, lack of marriages, lack of morality. It's all crazy to me. All crazy to me. Because we haven't had enough sense to save our culture. Crazy.
Black people just don't get it.
All right.
We just don't get it. We just don't get it.
All right.
Other groups come in this country, they get it right away.
All right.
And we get mad at them because they get it.
All right. That's it.
I've been away from Chicago.
I want to hear that again.
Regional representatives in the country, they don't go to jail.
Yeah, right.
The couriers go to jail. The street distributors go to jail.
That's right.
The managers of the distribution in the poor communities go to jail.
Yeah, that's
because it's easier to put them in jail because they have no group that helps them to survive.
That's right.
So these people come from the dysfunctional groups in the society.
All right.
These are the groups whose culture doesn't save them
All right. All right.
because the people haven't had enough sense to save their culture.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right.
Black people just don't get it.
All right.
We just don't get it. We just don't get it.
All right.
Other groups come in this country, they get it right away.
All right.
And we get mad at them because they get it.
All right. That's it.
I've been away from Chicago for 20 years. I came back 2 years ago. I walked down, I couldn't believe what I was seeing on 47th Street. The stores are all owned by Arabs and Koreans. These were stores that used to be owned by Black people. Now none of them are. They work from dawn to sunset. They in these stores all day long, selling us what we need.
And that's why a lot of people don't have respect for us, including those of the African descent, those who come here from the Caribbean, or those who come here from the continent. This is why, because we don't. This is. She's breaking this down as to why a lot of people, other cultures, other ethnicities, don't have respect for the American Black people. This is the breakdown of why this people come here and they don't respect us.
They have their families working in there. They don't hire nobody. Black people out there picketing, talking about they don't hire no Black people. Ain't nobody in there. Everybody's related. They're all family. I said, how you gonna get a job in there? You're not Korean, fool.
That's right. That's right.
You got to be in their family to work there.
That's right.
When the Nation of Islam began buying up 79th Street in Chicago in the 1960s, I thought we finally had gotten it.
All right.
But this effort was lost in the usual ego struggles of African American men.
All right.
Ego struggles have spoiled more freedom efforts in my lifetime than I would care to stand up here and talk to you about.
Thank you very much. All right.
In fact, I have been involved in so many that now I just refuse to join another movement.
That's right.
I think that's where a lot of us are. Unfortunately, they don't want to join another movement. They don't want to talk about voting. They don't want to talk about, canceling the N-word. To your point here, we lost our integrity. High vibe. They don't want to talk about reparation. People just sick and tired of it. They don't want to deal with the women. The men don't want to deal with the women. The women don't want to deal with the men. This is really sad.
We must learn to work together as a group. Alton talked to us about that tonight. I won't repeat it because he talked to us about that. We must learn to do this, ladies and gentlemen, because everybody does it if they get out of poverty in this country. They work together as a group. They work together as a group. If we are to survive and be autonomous in the United States, we must change our way of looking at living. Our culture is no longer functional because we've lost so much of the culture that used to save us. Our children are killing each other and us because we are not paying attention to what is happening to them.
All right.
Alton made reference to the prisons. That's the second part of the gross national product. In every state, they are building these prisons to put our people in order to get us out of the labor market.
And this is something we got to deal with, October. This is why I don't like this whole FBA, Foundational Black American, and whatever the other term is. What's the other term? Foundational Black American and whatever it is, I don't know. You go overseas, right? And they just get ran out of places. Like, we got to come up with to free agents' point, a plan of action, and it's got to include everyone. They don't want no one has any love for any African people. We got to get that through our heads, whether you're Foundational Black American, whether you are from Ados, yes, American descendants of slave, we all black to them. We all N-words to them. Whether you're from Belize, from the continent, from Jamaica, from Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, you black in Britain, black in Canada, Brazil. It's bizarre to me we think this way. And then they open up a store and they support their own. They don't steal from their own, right? And we just collectively just haven't gotten to that point that we got to think as ruthlessly as she has indicated in this talk. That's what the talk is about. Everybody else is behaving ruthlessly. Cheat if you have to. Do what you got to do. They don't care. You want to be capitalist, then be capitalist. But you got to do it as a collective. And they collect together, and then they do things against other ethnicities, nationalities, against anyone who's not in their group. And black folks, we've always been like, we've always been inclusive. That's why everybody's struggling right now with how come black folks aren't protesting ICE? And this ain't our fight. This is one of the few times we act on code. Like, ICE is not our fight. It's gonna be. It's gonna be. We got to develop a plan of action for that. It's gonna be. When they get through rounding these people up, kicking them out, doing whatever they're gonna do with with any other straggling protests, believe it. They was talking about rounding up the Haitians. You don't think a few black Americans are going to get caught up in that? It's been stayed for now, but this is the talk. It's really, really crazy. The whole diaspora is experiencing what she's talking about. Exactly. It's still centering whiteness. I agree.
And then to exploit us for providing jobs for them. Either way you look at it, going into the drug industry to try to be a businessman at the lower end where you get killed, or going to prison, we're still, once again, exploited, enslaved, used for others.
Explain if I understand what you're saying. That's that anime. Why is delineation healthy? Explain. I don't see that. I struggle to see it. So if you can explain it to me, why it is that we should see ourselves different from a Belizean or from a Bohemian or from someone from even Dominican Republic. I mean, they don't want to claim us, but whatever. I mean, it's all exploitation. Those from Grenada and Panama, it's all exploitation. So I don't get that. I listen to people try to talk, to explain to me. I just don't get it. They don't like none of us.
To become wealthy, so they can be rich. We spend a lot of time being resentful of Koreans and Hispanic people and Arabs who are trying to use this system the way that we should be using it.
Because they've been taught that, because they've been taught to center whiteness, because they've been taught to, I got a video coming out where I talk about this, but I'll mention it again. Actually, it's going to drop on Friday, I think. I was having a conversation with a young lady one time. She came on my podcast when it was called Captain Hunter's Podcast. She came on the podcast. I told the story before, so I'll tell it again. She came on, and her job was she went to different school systems and schools to give anti-racism trainings and talks to the teachers, talk about microaggressions and et cetera, et cetera. So I had her on my podcast. We actually had a decent conversation. But after the conversation, sometimes I would talk to people after the show, and I said either I said it during we were talking or I said it during the show. I can't remember now. And then she sent me this long email about You know, why, you know, you sound just like them. How come, you know, you make it seem like black folks can't get it together? And and of course, I was saying to her, listen, I think that we can get it together, but one thing we have to defeat is this idea that we are somehow separate. This is the problem, that we think that we're somehow separate. And I get into a little bit more on the other show that's going to drop, but you know, one thing that happened to black folks in particular, and we all know this, so you guys are all educated in here. So we know that you know, if you were a slave, in particular in America, but I assume it was going on in the Caribbean and in Brazil, that if you were a slave and in order to get your freedom, you had to tell on other individuals if there was going to be an insurrection, or if there was going to be you know, whatever, a work slowdown, a protest, you know, a riot, you know, we're going to revolt, whatever you want to call it, right? There was something like that. So if you told, then that would be your reward would be manumission or emancipation. So I'm saying, so I brought this up to her, and I'm like, listen, my point was, we have been trained to sell each other out, trained not to think along these lines, trained to think that lighter skin is better than the other, trained to think that, you know, our 4C hair is ugly, trained to, you know, your broad nose is ugly, trained to think that your thick lips are ugly. We have been trained to think like this. And so now when we come to all skin folks aren't kin folks, that means that somebody is selling us out. Somebody isn't thinking along the collective line. Somebody is not doing it. Now, everybody's not going to do it 100%, but we got to get a majority of people to get on code, to get on code. Again, this is one of the first times we got on code as far as the ICE protests, but black folks ain't out there like that. So if we can get on code about that, if we can get on code about the target, we got to keep that momentum and thinking about what it takes in the best interest of us, because we are on the menu. We may not be on the menu today, but we are on the menu. That's my point. Because we are not all culturally the same, Igbo and Yoruba are both Nigerians, but tribal separation is a human phenomenon. We speak English differently if we speak the same language. I can understand that to a certain degree, but they are on the menu. And when it comes to, and some of the stuff was designed, some of the stuff is natural, is a human natural phenomenon. Some of it is ingrained in us when they went through and redrew maps, etc. And again, told us to sell each other out. Told us to engage in certain activities that would be undermining and undercutting and get you to look down your nose at other people. That's my point. And if we understand collectively that if you go to Belize and there's a bunch of Chinese restaurants and they're looking down on people, then to me, as a black person, if I'm on vacation in Belize, I'm going to the black-owned place. That's the way that I think. I understand that everybody's not going to see eye to eye. I understand that people, you know, I'm not speak the language. I understand that. And here's the trick, and here's the issue about being a Black American, is that we are culturally Westerners. I think Western. We think capitalism. We think, you know, Western thoughts. We think our beauty standards, all this type of thing. So it's difficult to go to another place. I acknowledge that, but I am saying that some of it in our acknowledgement, we got to be like, listen, we got to figure this out as far as being Black first, Christian first. You know, what does it mean? And we're gonna sell each other out. I just can't rock with that. I just can't rock with that. Well, that's true, right? If Moore wrote about strategies to get ahead, we could get into position. We got to buy the books and read them too. It's true. I mean, the strategies need to be out there. A lot of times we just talk. There's a lot of talking going on. True. There's a lot of talking going on. But at some point we got to get it.
Now, why don't we do this? Let's look at that for a minute.
All right.
You remember when I told you about, we tell our kids all the time in school, take a turn, but in the real world, you don't take a turn? Okay. We also teach our kids that there's something wrong with being separate. As soon as we get a little money, we want to be as close to white people as we can get.
All right.
We want to live in their neighborhoods. We want to go to their schools. We want to marry them. We just got the problem.
All right.
We just have the problem. We don't like us, right? We don't like us. That's a big problem, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big problem. As soon as we get a little bit of money, we want to run away from us. Now, what do other groups do? They run together. And the first stage of that inclusion model is called separatism. And they come together because they have a common culture that saves them from these obstacles, right? Okay. We need to think about being separate. We need.
Which book was that? Only Carter. I got to get into more Carter G. Woodson. I got to admit that. Only book I read was The Miseducation of the Negro. So if that's the book you're talking about, I definitely got to get more into him. I was listening to a scholar the other day talking about Carter G. So yeah.
We need to stop being afraid of nationalism because we're afraid of it.
All right. All right.
We're afraid of it.
Talk to us.
And our enemies want us to stay afraid.
That's it. All right.
Because next to God, nationalism is the most powerful organizing force that man knows.
All right. All right.
Yeah. If you guys haven't read The Miseducation of a Negro, that's definitely a must read. Every Black person should read that. That, the biography of Malcolm X, there's a couple of others, but definitely Carter G. Woodson's Miseducation of the Negro.
All right. All right. All right.
The most powerful is God. And if you don't believe me, look at the fundamentalist right, how they are driving abortion out of this country without changing the law.
That's right.
How are they doing it? Killing doctors,
All right.
shooting them.
All right.
See, that's what a powerful dynamic could do for you. If we had.
Well, we certainly aren't advocating for that, but they, she talked about this again in the 90s. Look what this white nationalist movement is doing in their Project 2025, and I think the Heritage Foundation just dropped something the other day. I heard a lot of people talking about that, so I got to go over there and read that. So, I think that's the one about the women. They're taking aim at the women. The Heritage Foundation. Let's try to get through this here. We've been on an hour and a half.
A powerful God dynamic, our kids wouldn't be killing each other. They might be killing somebody else, but it wouldn't be each other.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
But we don't have that. We don't have a powerful God dynamic. We used to, but we don't more. Next to that is nationalism. That's the next most powerful dynamic you have for organizing people.
All right.
Now, at one time, we had a model, and that was the Nation of Islam. And they were using it to death, but ego killed it. In her paper, Whiteness as Property, Harvard Law Review, June 1993, Cheryl I. Harris argues that whiteness is built on both exclusion and racial subjugation. And this is how she says it's used. Race has not only been constructed as race, but also as a privilege. That's why we got this hair problem. Today in the United States, race is determined by visibility and reputation because there are over 1 million African Americans passing for white every day. And if you make friends with some of them, they will give you some powerful bits of information about the other folks that help you. And remember what Alton told you, information is power, right? I seek them out at any institution I go to. I try to see if I can find out who's passing. Now, you can't tell on them now. That ain't the point. I want the information. Tell me what these doctors do in this hospital when they come in here. Tell me how they treat us when we come in here, because I want to know before I bring my mama over here.
All right.
And they'll tell you. That's if you don't turn them in. All right? Okay. Harris argues that the decision to pass as white was not a choice, if by that word one means voluntariness or lack of compulsion. She says that the fact of race subordination was coercive and circumscribed the liberty to self-define. In other words, because you are Black, your ability to define yourself is limited in this. And passing for white frees you of that limitation. So she says if that is true and you want to define who you are, then it might not be voluntary. Now, my interaction with some of these people is that they passing for white in order to what? Survive and have self-autonomy. Okay? Now let's look at the real world that makes you want to do that. And then let's think about those of us who can't if we wanted to. I mean, you think I'd get away with it? I'd go out and say, I'm passing for white. I don't think so. Self-determination of identity is not a right for us. It's not a right for us, but it's a privilege for white people, right? So the effect of protecting whiteness at law was to devalue those who were not white by coercing them to deny their identity. So I straighten my hair, I whiten my skin, I cut off my nose, I fix my lips, I cover up my heels and wear a girdle on my butt so I can look what? White. Because that's the identity that I want. Now, this is the crux of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, for our children. And we have chosen, and I say chosen because we didn't have to do this, we have chosen to destroy the main weapon for survival, which is our identity.
Uh-oh. All right.
And this has posed a severe problem for us and for our children. Because if I don't like who I am, I'm hardly gonna raise a child who does.
Right.
Because my child is a mirror of me.
All right. All right.
The way out is through mobilization of the group to struggle for the survival of the individual.
All right.
And you have to understand that Black folks just don't get it.
All right.
I'm not giving up my individual right to sacrifice for the group. That's not what it's all about. Hey, the problem with that is the Constitution gives you individual rights, but you can only protect them as a group.
All right.
See, that's the problem.
All right. All right.
And that's some bars right there. Constitution gives you individual rights, but you can only protect them as a group. That's why people got to vote, got to speak up, petitions, call your senators, call your mayors, call your congresspeople, get stuff done as a group. That's why financial and economic stability and growth equals political power.
That's the problem. To survive, the group must ensure that each individual member is able to take care of himself or herself, reproduce himself or herself, and take care of the progeny. And we are losing the group function. It doesn't matter where. We're losing it in the family. We're losing it in the church. We're certainly losing it in the school. We're losing it in the community. We're losing it in our institutions. Our families are disrupted. Only 26% of all African-American children live with both parents. Our churches are predominantly female, 80%. Our schools are mostly dysfunctional. Children do not learn anything in them. and our communities are disorganized. No leadership, no resources, no support. Black people still don't get it. We don't get it. We just don't get it. That it's the group function that's going to carry us through. It's the group function. Individual members working together as a group in order to take care of their own children, take care of their own poor and elderly, take care of their own disorganized and mentally ill. We can't even get control of the NAACP.
You know, when I was heavily into the church, right, I used to try to get them to think about scholarships. I'm sure that other churches have it, but the organization I was part of didn't press that. Scholarships, making sure that we at least had an elderly home for our elderly seniors to go to. You spent your whole life going to church, having fish fries and all this other stuff, volunteering for this, volunteering for that, you know, cooking for this, cooking for that, going to see people, giving money all through your whole life. And we don't have a place for these people to retire to. You got to go and retire and spend the rest of your days once you, in somebody else's facility. I thought that was a crime. They didn't want to hear it, though. They didn't want to hear it. So you ask, a lot of times we ask the question why men of Blessed Church have left the church. This is why I left, because we weren't doing anything. We weren't doing anything collectively.
This is our largest organization, and we can't even get control of it.
Some of that data is a little outdated. Yeah, I mean, this is the 90s. So she quoted something from 1993. So it's got to be from, 90. Well, I'll just say 94 on. So she died in 2004. So somewhere between 1994 and 2004, this is when this was.
We cannot even hire and keep the executive director of the NAACP. And this is no surprise.
All right.
I don't know whether you're too young to remember or not, but I certainly remember when Julian Bond wanted Roy Wilkins' job and couldn't get it because of his position on Israel. Look at the African Americans chosen by President Clinton. Ask yourself if they represent you.
No.
Who recommended these folks?
All right.
What group? I don't think African Americans did it.
Right.
See, black people still don't get it.
All right.
We look at these black people on TV and we say, oh, President Clinton, he got a black man. Tell him, yeah, but who picked him?
That's right.
Whom does he represent?
That's right. Not us.
Every group, through the pooling of its own resources, lifts itself up out of poverty.
That's right.
If you're waiting for Bill Clinton to lift you out of poverty, you still don't get it. You really don't get it.
That's right.
If you're waiting for the Black Caucus to lift you out of poverty, you don't get it. You still don't get it. Every group, through the pooling of its own resources, lifts itself up out of poverty. We keep expecting some other group to do it for us. It's never going to happen.
All right.
Black people still don't get it. We must, through the group function, build our own hospitals. I remember when I lived at 8622 South Wabash in a neighborhood called Chatham in 1969, Elijah Muhammad wanted to build a hospital on 83rd Street. The middle-class blacks who were my neighbors in Chatham ran down to Mayor Daley and begged him to do something about this assault on our middle-class community. And the mayor converted.
And they did look stupid calling this man the first black president. I never used that term. I thought it was idiotic that they would call that man that. I thought it was idiotic. So wanting to fit in. So wanting to fit in. So wanting to fit in.
The desired area into a park. So instead of a black-owned hospital, we got a park. Later, the only black hospital in Chicago, Provident, closed. And then we had none. See, black people don't get it. They just don't get it. When I came back to Chicago in 1992, you know what I did, of course, was to immediately begin working with the schools. It was interesting for me to go back home. Those of you who know me know I started teaching Chicago Public Schools in 1947, and I taught every single grade. I started out as a Latin high school teacher in Wendell Phillips High School. Remember, I came up during Jim Crow, so I've never taught anybody but African-American children. I came up during Jim Crow. I taught every grade. I taught Latin in high school. I taught educatively, mentally handicapped, primary and secondary. I taught English to the Spanish speaking. I taught every single grade. I was an elementary school principal and a high school principal in Chicago Public Schools. Then I was the director of the Woodlawn Experimental Schools Project, which was Chicago's experiment with community control, like your IS 201. I was director of that in Chicago. And then when the funding ran out for that, they put me downtown because they didn't want me back out in the field. So I was being punished. And I was given an assignment with
She was too black.
this white man. I hated him. I'll just tell you the truth. I try not to hate, because hate really destroys you. But I hated this man, and the feeling was mutual. I understand the feeling was mutual. So I wrote to the deputy superintendent, who was an African American, and I wrote him a long letter. I still have a copy of this letter, and I have his reply, because one day I'm going to put it in the book, although I might wait until he's deceased. And anyway, I wrote him a letter and asked him to move me out of here because of this racist man, and also he was to some other problems. And so the African-American wrote back to me and said there wasn't anything he could do to help me, that, that I would just have to get through it like everybody else did. And so I quit. I quit to Chicago Public Schools and left Chicago. That was 1972. And this white man went to jail. He's still in jail. So when I got back home in 1992, I started work with schools. I'm now the dean of the School of Education at DePaul University. And this is a strange place for me to be. It's a Roman Catholic university, and I'm Baptist. When I first came, I was going to retire. Those of you who know me know my mother had Alzheimer's, and I was trying to get home. I'm an only child. I did get home, thank God for her many blessings. I did get home in time before my mother died. But anyway, I was retiring from the University of Pittsburgh. I was 65 years old when this man told me this job was available. So I told him I really wasn't interested. I said, I'm not Roman Catholic, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life in a Jesuit institution, reviewing esoteric bodies of knowledge, So he said, oh, this is not a Jesuit school. Well, I'm not Roman Catholic, so that didn't have any meaning for me. He said, this is a Vincentian school, and I didn't know what that meant either. So he sent me a book about St. Vincent de Paul, who was the founder of the Congregation of the Mission, which is the order of priests who founded DePaul. He's a very interesting man, St. Vincent de Paul. At one time in his life, he was enslaved, and he founded this mission to help poor people. And so when I read his story, I said, well, at least I'll go talk to these people and see if this is for real, or if this is, like 9/11, just a joke. So I went in there to talk to them. And I found out that they really are for real. They have a feeding station there on Sheffield and Webster at the St. Vincent de Paul Church. And if you get there in the morning between 7:30 and 8:30, you'll see a line of like 50 to 100 Black men coming in there to be fed and clothed. They also have programs for juveniles and little children in the St. Vincent de Paul Center. So I said, okay, well, maybe God has blessed me and finally put me somewhere where I wanted to fight people, to help poor people. And that is true. In the twilight years of my life, I am in a job where I can, without any apologies, anytime I want to, help poor people. And so that's what I did. Those of you who know me remember when I got fired from my job October the 9th, 1975 as superintendent of the DC Public Schools, that I promised God if she would help me find another job somewhere doing her will, that I would devote my life to doing that. And so this is where I am. Okay, so I have 10 schools. I have 10 schools that I work in, 10 schools that I work in. These are schools that are 100% African-American or 100% Latino. The children are all poor and they're all low achieving. And my job is to elevate and accelerate student achievement in reading and mathematics as measured on standardized tests for these children in these schools, and we're trying to do it in 1 year. Now, since I've been back in Chicago, I've been having a big fight with the reform movement, which is largely white. Now, mind you, the school system there is 56% African-American, 32% Latino, and the rest white. But the entire reform movement is made up of elite white males. Most of them are middle class or more. What they are trying to do now is to abolish standardized tests in the schools so that when they take the schools over, when they privatize the schools, they will not have to be accountable to you. Now, there's several things that they're using to their advantage, and that is, first place, we suspect these tests. We always have. We have always been in the vanguard fighting the standardized test movement in this country. We have always been in the vanguard of that movement. And we have always said, back to Allison Davis, way back 1940, that these tests are biased against poor people and against minorities. We have always said that. We have always said that. So this is not new to us. We understand that. So now they're playing on our suspicions. They're saying to us, oh, these tests are culturally biased. And we say, yes, sure enough, that's right. So they say, well, we want your support to abolish these tests. And we say, yeah, fine, you got it. And then they abolish the tests. Then they take the schools away from you and give them to the corporations. And then you will have no way of knowing whether your kid can read or not.
That's right.
You cannot hold them accountable because you don't know what they do.
That's right.
Okay, but let's look at the real world now that these kids got to live in. Do you think that DePaul is going to stop asking your kid to pass the SAT with the 1,000 score to get admitted? Do you really believe that? Right. Because if you said yes, Black people still don't get it. You still don't get it. Listen, your kid, whether you abolish them or not, your kid is still going to have to take the SAT, the ACT, the MSAT, MCAT, the LSAT, and any other kind of T that they got going for them. They want to keep you out of a job. This system is not about to be test-free because
I just heard that in the state of Texas, this is probably old news, but I just came across it today that they have eliminated or getting away from the American Bar Association. So in order to become a lawyer, you don't have to be tested through the American Bar Association. Yeah? And that would allow them to choose, them being the state of Texas, to choose what schools you can go to, change the curriculums, et cetera. And of course, this is just another angle to get people into positions of power through the law, through the legal system, in order to perpetuate their frame of thinking. So they think that the American Bar Association trains up lawyers that are too liberal. And of course, Texas being who they are, want to get away from that. So this is what they're doing. I think Texas and Florida, as a matter of fact, and I'm hearing some other states are thinking about that as well. So this is again more signs of the troubling times that they don't like the way that this country has gone to. They don't like the way that the country has gone to. And there was a post I saw, and I wrote in the comment section that understand that the Civil War has never really ended. These people are still doing this stuff. So again, yeah, Florida and Texas are getting away from the American Bar Association there. Yeah, moving the goalpost again.
Tests sort you out too effectively. This white reform movement is trying to sell you assessment by portfolio and calling it authentic in order to, let me tell you, anytime a test depends upon a white jury to tell you whether or not you are competent, you can believe it is not going to work for you. And if you think so, Black people still don't get it. You just don't get it. You just don't get it. All right? Now, the only place in this society that you can get in by portfolio is prison.
All right.
You can't come to DePaul by portfolio. You can't get in Harvard by portfolio. You cannot get a promotion in the Chicago police force by portfolio. You have to pass a standardized norm reference police test that you take with paper and pencil. Ladies and gentlemen, the only place you get in by portfolio is prison. Now, if you do not understand it, you just don't get it.
All right.
You just don't get it. Ladies and gentlemen, you just don't get it.
All right. All right.
So we have this struggle going on in Chicago. In 1988, a reform group changed the law so that now principals are hired and fired by local school councils in every school, and we have 5.
I'm surprised it's not RBG Tech. I'm surprised that Department of Education is not dismantled. I'm actually surprised it's still going on. I mean, they're making a joke about it, they being the government, just taking everything away. But
506 of them in Chicago. The principals have no tenure, but 4-year contracts. Some schools have had 4 principals in the 6 years since the law passed, depriving.
so that means here's the issue with that. Again, with them cutting back on who and how much federal aid is given, I mean, a lot of that has to do with there's too many people going to law school, too many people going to medical school, too many lower class people, and they want to, stifle that. I think now you can, in order to go to these schools, you can only take $200,000 out to go to med school, and I think it's $100,000 to go to law school, if my memory's serving me correctly. So how are you going to get into law school if you can't afford to pay for it? Right? Law schools are $150 easy. I looked into it. $150 easy. And those are the lower tier ones, right? I think to go to UConn is where I live, University of Connecticut. I don't want to say it, but I don't remember. But I definitely was looking into it. So how are you going to get into these schools? How are you going to get into these schools? And is Texas going to set up something completely different? Again, if you grow up in Connecticut, go to UConn law school, maybe you want to move to Texas. Is it a completely different system that they got going on down there? Do you got to test? Or Florida? That could be a big deal as to who can argue in front of the Supreme Court, et cetera, et cetera. What does all that mean?
These schools of leadership continuity without which nothing happens. And just like everybody else, if you do not train and educate people to assume the roles you create for them to do in a society, they will try to use their former experience in order to construct that role. So when they created local school councils and had these elections and elected all of these people to these local school councils for these 506 schools, they did not provide them with any training. They did not provide them with any education. So the people did what anyone would do. They constructed their role according to the only model they knew, which was the Democratic Party patronage model.
All right.
And that's what they do. Ladies and gentlemen, in Chicago, nobody cares whether our children learn to read. Nobody. It's enough to break your heart. You walk into these schools, ladies and gentlemen, and you see our children in there wanting to learn, anxious to learn, with teachers who don't give a damn, who don't even try, who give excuses and excuses and excuses, and who still get their paychecks, still get promoted.
No, I got to stick up for the teachers here. I know that I know it's a problem when students don't want to learn or can't learn or whatever. But a lot of this has to do with parentage, and again, this is where two-parent homes come into play, and having a village behind you, people to help with homework, to make sure you do your homework, to stay on top of you, to go to your schools, PTA meetings, etc. All that type of enforcement and positive reinforcement is needed from the teachers in order for them to be able to do their jobs. No, I wouldn't go to school and wrestle with kids either if they weren't trying to learn. So, that to me is a big thing. I always stand up for teachers when it comes to that. You shouldn't have to come to school and do more disciplining, more parenting than you are teaching.
And the teachers who are trying, let's don't leave them out. The teachers in there who are trying get discouraged.
That's right.
They get discouraged. How would you feel if you knocked yourself out with 30 little kids for 180 days, and when you finished with them, they had grown 3 and 4 years in reading, and then you sent them to a sucker who didn't do anything for the year, and when you saw them again, they had lost everything that you taught them? How would you feel? You can't do this to these teachers. We can't do this to these teachers. We can't do this to these teachers. We've got to make these schools places that work for our children.
That's right.
And that's our responsibility, ladies and gentlemen. That's our responsibility. We cannot send our children to these schools, I don't care whether public, private, or parochial, and abandon your children in there and expect people to do what you should be doing for them. It's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. And if you think it is, you still don't get it. You just don't get it. You just don't get it. At face value, as I said, the abandonment of the test looks like a good deal for African Americans until you view it in the setting of this whole society. And then when you look at it that way, it takes on another face. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot make it in this society if you cannot read.
Well, say it again. It is. It is.
Our children are coming out of the high school and they can't read. They can't read.
I agree with you, dead set. In order to correct bad students at the source, you have to fight the parents and the family courts. That's the fight we never have. You got to, and it shouldn't be that you have to fight the parents. But again, if you got a single mom, and again, I was raised by a single mom, and she's tired after work or whatever, she doesn't have anyone else to make sure her kids do their homework, and she's too tired to help or whatever, and they take away school funding for after school programs, etc. Then this becomes a slippery slope into our kids not being able to read. So this is why, again, you got to have these community centers and boys clubs that have after school homework helps, or churches that have after school homework helps, etc., to help these kids to get on path and then get on target.
And our children are normal, ladies and gentlemen. Our children are normal. But we allow people to say they're not. Every time you sign a blue sheet sending a black kid to educably mentally handicapped, you're saying this is not a normal child. Listen, God did not create that many dumb black people. God didn't do that. You're doing it. These children just need to be taught. They need to be taught. They need to be taught. In 1932, Carter G. Woodson told us if a child doesn't learn, a child needs to be studied, not abandoned, not penalized, not put away, not labeled, studied, so that you could teach him or her. We're not doing that. We don't even expect teachers to do it. We don't even.
We're probably, using some bad terms. You're probably right. When I say bad, I'm talking about disruptive, right? Because a lot of times students are disruptive, goofing off, not doing the homework, etc., because no one is taking the time out to pour into them. They don't understand the material, therefore they become disruptive, and therefore they get into fights, etc. So yeah, these terminologies do matter. Fludge 8, fledges, fludges, fludge 8. How do you get into law schools? Devise a strategy or be left behind. Yeah. We might have to do that. Churches might have to come together and support, 2 or 3 students who are really, really bright to go to law school, go to med school, go to dentistry school, etc. We might have to do that. We can't get left behind. And if they taken the financial ability for us away, then we got to strategize another way. And that's going to take community. That's going to take community. If you send my kids to school today, I'm going to send your kids to school tomorrow. That's the way it has to be. But again, we can't be thinking, non-collectively, segregated. We can't be thinking that way. We got to build community and maintain that community.
We expect them to do it. We expect them to stand up in TV. I saw them just yesterday on TV saying, oh, my kids are crack babies. And well, that's 1%. What about all those that are not crack babies that can't read? My parents don't come to school. No, they work in 3 jobs. My parents don't do this and whatever. All these excuses, ladies and gentlemen, that you and I know are not true.
And you're right about that. High vibe. Even if you have 2 parents, there can still be an abandonment of a parent involvement in the child's education. I wouldn't call it an abandonment, but I think I understand what you're saying, because they're trying to provide, especially if they live in a. That's why you need after-school homework helps. That's why you need boys clubs, other centers where they can get help with, particularly if the one parent can't do it. Excuse me. So it can even be a community type thing, right? So churches and everybody else has to pitch in. This is where communities come in at. There's this Asian spot up the street from me, as she talked about, and sometimes I go there. They're actually Thai people, and every time I go in there to pick up some fried rice or whatever I get, yeah, I eat that. don't I cheat sometimes. Every time I go in there to get my food, there's a little boy doing his homework. And there's a guy sitting with him, helping him with his homework all the time. Kid's got to be 7, 8. So this is important. It starts at home. A lot of these students lose their parents that expect the teacher to do everything in regards to rearing children. They didn't even read to their children. And this is what I'm saying. This is culturally what we have to change. Culturally, we have to change.
Raise your hand if you were born with money. You had all the money you needed. Raise your hand. I want to see them. You could learn to read, and you were poor. How many of you had only one parent?
You're right about that. I know a bunch of EDDs. and some of them, I know one who was doing a really, really good job. She was teaching after school Black history. But yeah, there's too many. Even listen, there's too many college students. To me, right, if you're getting a scholarship as a college student, you got to get back. Have a virtual after school, whatever. But that's another thing too. Again, I was watching something the other day. Actually, was it this morning? And this guy was giving a talk about how human beings learn. And we know now that people don't learn through screens. You can give them all the iPads, all the Chromebooks, etc. They're not learning that way. They're not learning. You have to be in class, hands-on, teacher in front of them. That's the way that human beings should be learning. And this was a neurologist talking about this. Maybe I'll play that another day, but yeah.
Grew up with only one parent.
So I would disagree with this. I know this is what people think and say, and this is the segregated kind of type of thinking. But your child is going to be everyone's problem one day. Your child, if you don't raise him up right, is going to be everyone's problem. He's going to either rob people, steal from people, enter into a negative lifestyle, be engaged in the criminal justice system, be housed upstate somewhere. Your child is going to be everyone else's problem. That's what I think. Well, I don't think that when it comes to our history, Black churches, I think, have failed with that. My church, I used to try to teach Black history, and I used to want to get away from these prepackaged Sunday school lessons that they had for us that came from these people. We were learning all Jewish history or really mythology, their mythology, and not really learning about us. And I tried to change that. And again, the church didn't want to change. That was another thing I tried to do. Too bad. A lot of stuff I'm catching up on Black history. I'm way behind what I think I should know.
How many of y'all can read? Yeah, well, okay. Then why you let teachers get away?
Chris, we were all bullied at the boys' club. That's where we got. That's where we learned how to fight. We were all bullied at the boys' club.
Why with this? Why do you do this? Why do you let them stand up on TV and let them say this and then give them a raise? You got, hey, ladies and gentlemen, still don't get it. Just don't get it. What has happened to our group pride, our group culture, our group advancement, group charity? We don't even want to take care of each other. We don't even want. I go around to middle class people like me and say, let's raise some money, get some place for these people to live that's homeless.
We had a Pride Center here in Waterbury. We had the Pride. It was an acronym too, PRIDE. I don't know what it stood for, but when the lady died, who was over it, it fell off. We had the boys' club, as I mentioned. I think there was another place, but I can't recall. YMCAs, stuff like that. So we had some stuff, but you got to be in front of these. You got to have the teachers in front of the students. We know that neurologically now. So, and giving them iPads and Chromebooks, maybe it'll help with homework, but as far as learning, you got to have in class, standing in front of them. That's how we learned on the plains of Africa and wherever else we migrated to. That's how we learned. One person teaching another person or teaching a group of people how to do X. And we're trying to defeat the biological programming, and it's not working.
I got to pay for my bills. I got a $500 note on my car. Yeah, okay. Who cares anymore about the students? Nobody. Our children. Who is responsible for seeing that they survive? We have proceeded with political strategies as though politics can be considered separately from economic strategies. This won't work. It won't work. We've got to stop spending all our money as consumers, and we've got to learn to be producers and owners. That's right. Listen, our children do not need 2 weeks of sharing in kindergarten. They need 2 weeks of ownership. They need to learn what it means to own something. Right. You need in every school that you find African Americans to have them open a bank account. Every single kid in the school, open a bank account, learn how to save money so that they can pool their money and have a business. That's the way you make it here. We have no way to sanction leaders who don't lead, teachers who don't teach, principals who don't principal, preachers who don't advance the group, politicians who don't represent our interests, businessmen who don't help the group, athletes and entertainers who sell out. We don't have any way to sanction these folks.
That's right. That's right.
I was standing in the record, no, they don't call them records anymore. We call those things, Georgie. We call them little round things, CDs. I was in there, the little girl was buying a CD by this foul group that denigrates women. So I went up to her and I said,
NWA? Gotta be.
why are you buying that? And so she looked at me, she said, you got a problem, what's happening? And I said, look, do you know how he talks about you in that record, on that record? And she said, no, I don't listen to the words, I just like the music. So I said, look, this man talks about you like you a living dog. I said, and now that he calls you by the dog's name, bitch. I said, and you gonna pay money to take that home and participate in your own denigration? So she looked at me and she said, I don't listen to the words. I said, listen to them. I said, you listen to them. Because what you're doing is contributing to your own destruction.
Trust issues, October. They got trust issues. They got trust issues. But they'll take a vacation or buy a Birkin bag, right? They got trust issues. They don't think it can be done. You got to watch the money. You got to do this. You got to do that. We want to know you're not going to steal it.
We know these people. You and I know know who these people are, but we go support them with our dollars, go see them, give them money. The best way you can bring these entertainers down if you don't like them is don't spend your money with it. We worship consumerism. Oh my God, brothers and sisters, we worship consumerism and materialism. And as though selfishness is a virtue, just like Ayn Rand teaches. In fact, I have lived long enough to see a new Rand disciple who is black and female. Oh, God have mercy. The struggle for equality will not occur without a group effort, ladies and gentlemen. Individualism is not the way other groups advance in this society. Wealth is accumulated by one, but passed on by the group, by the family, by the business, by the institution, by the organization. The Kennedy fortune, the Rockefeller empires, those were begun by one person, but passed on and increased by the group effort. That is the nature of the company, the heart and engine of capitalism. The Millionaires Club, formed in the African American community, largely by entertainers and athletes, passes on what and to whom. Except for a few of them, like Bill Cosby, it seems to be too little and too late. It is more important to us to buy a $40,000 car than to give $10,000 to Philander Smith College or Tougaloo. Right. We just don't get it, ladies and gentlemen. Black people just don't get it. Right. There are not enough people like Ruth Hare in Philadelphia who accumulated wealth which she invested to pay the college tuitions and fees for a group of sixth graders if and when they graduated from high school. One Benz would pay 4 years of college for somebody. All right. Okay. Raise your hand if you think Bill Clinton is going to be the father to our children. Raise your hand if you think the Democrats are going to take care of our elderly. All right. I know you don't think the Republicans are going to do anything for us. All right. If it is to happen, we have to do it. If not, ladies and gentlemen, we will not survive. All right. We will not survive. All right. You remember things fall apart? The white man put a knife to our people and things fell apart. That will surely happen to us if we don't get it. All right. In her 1979 dissertation, Carolyn Elaine Bennett Murray wrote the following. When teachers made causal attributions about the importance of their own characteristics in determining a successful performance for a student, they tended to perceive themselves as more responsible for a successful outcome for students belonging to a subordinate group, Blacks, lower class, those failing in school, than to a superordinate group. If the superordinate kids failed, it was the teacher's fault. But if the Black kids failed, it was their fault. Okay? However, counter to prediction, teachers perceive themselves as more responsible for a successful performance by Black middle class students than Black lower class students. But not so with whites. White middle class students were responsible for their success, but Black middle class children's success was due to their teacher. And a reverse pattern of responding resulted when Black middle class and lower class students failed. Teachers preferred, ladies and gentlemen, to teach Black lower class students over Black middle class students. The major implication of Bennett Murray's findings is, to the extent that positive sentiments manifest themselves in rewards, a minority student will often be rewarded for failure and punished for success. Hence, the differential level of scholastic achievement observed among students of various socioeconomic and racial backgrounds may have less to do with tangibles, such as books, buildings, equipment, and so forth, than to do with intangibles, such as the differential expectations of causal attributions and sentiments expressed by the teacher for the student.
I actually think that's kind of criminal there. And that's why we got to get these people out of here. R. Lowry, thank you for that comment there. Some rural hospitals financially support students who commit to returning to work there after college. Currently, those hospitals are starting to close, and nursing isn't classified professional anymore. And that's going to we're already short nurses. You're going to drive them out of that. This administration, man.
Here we find that teachers tend to like, that is, express positive sentiment toward students whose characteristics live up to their expectations.
I appreciate that, Fludge 8. Fludges 8. I appreciate that. I'm trying to change my algorithm too. I was talking about a lot of male female stuff there, and get a little too controversial. So I'm trying to change that as well. So hopefully I can be more positive here. We're going forward. It's a huge profession.
Hence, since smart African American students do not live up to the teacher's low expectations for African American students, they do not like them. So the African American student in schools is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Now tell me, who wants to stay in school under these conditions? Yet, many African American teachers behave in the same way, disregarding their tradition of pride, honor, intelligence, and struggle. I do not know what has happened to us, ladies and gentlemen, over the 40 years that I've been in education. How did we arrive in this place? The white man has put the knife to what binds us together, and now things fall apart. After all of this history, struggle, the great men and women, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Martin Delany, Sojourner Truth, W.E.B. Du Bois, Ida B. Wells Barnett, Booker T. Washington, Mary Church Terrell, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and Betty Shabazz, Leonard Jeffries, Shashi McIntyre, Donald Smith, and Alton Maddox. We still don't get it. Thank you.
All right, that's that. So, given this current administration, given the current state of ICE raids, etc., I hope that we can get it. I hope we recognize to get out there, to vote, to organize, to have conversations, plan, strategize, etc. Do what we have to do in order for us to make it. In order for us to make it. So I appreciate y'all coming on tonight. We've been on for 2 hours and 23 minutes. You guys want to help support the channel, buy me some lunch, I would appreciate it. Most importantly, hit the like button. A couple of new people in here tonight that I saw, or people that commented. Really, really appreciate you guys coming through. Please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, she's definitely in that. Fanon, Malcolm, Dr. Sizemore, MLK, etc., all born in the 1920s. Happy Black History Month. We're gonna try to keep this going here. We're gonna try to keep this going. Play some other people. If you got any other people you want me to explore, send me an email. The email is always in all the links. So if there's anyone else you want to kind of review, number one, period, and number two for Black History Month, then please send me an email. So the email's at the bottom there. So, and yes, welcome to all the subbies. Buy a sandwich for Dr. L. I appreciate that. We need more lives like this, especially for Black History Month. I'll try to keep it up. Again, you guys send me some stuff, some good people. Maybe we'll play Amos Wilson too. We get into some Amos Wilson. So I'll try to find some short Amos Wilson because he goes on for 2 and 3 hours. So Amos Wilson is another one I really, really love. Hit the like button. All right, y'all. I'm tired now. So I would really appreciate if y'all bought me a sandwich, but most importantly, hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. So we'll keep it going here. We'll keep it going. Keep the positive energy going. We'll see you guys. Take care. Much love and peace. Have a great, great night. Stay warm, y'all, in the East Coast. Oh, yeah. We got to play some Frances Cress Wilson. I'll put her on the list there. We'll get something from her. Dr. Leonard Jeffries. Cool. Keep them coming. Y'all think of anybody else, let me know. Have a great night, y'all. Take care. Much love and peace. I got 2 of Amos Wilson's books. Falsification of African Consciousness. And there's another one around here somewhere I got. So, all right. Now y'all coming up. Let me write these down there. Bonnie Hemmett. Another one too, right? There was a psychologist, Bobby Henderson or something like that. He died early too, man. I think it was Bobby Henderson. I think Bobby somebody. Bobby Wright. Bobby Wright. Maybe Bobby Wright. Black psychologist. Gloria Ladson Billings. All right. I'll check those out. Thank you guys. If I miss you guys, if I miss it, Claude Anderson, come on now. Come on now. We could play him for days. Claude Anderson, yeah. I'll probably be stepping on what's his name there? Boyce Watkins' toes, man. He's let's see. Claude Anderson. Yeah. All right, we'll get them together there. Y'all send it to me. If I miss you guys, send it to the email. Have a great night. Have a great night. Yeah, Bobby Wright. Bobby Wright. Yeah. Bobby Wright. He doesn't have many YouTube videos, man. He died really, really young. That was really a huge loss to us. Yeah, Bobby Wright. All right, y'all. Have a great night.